Part 4 of the basic peacekeeper training, then, we're going to talk initially about lawful governance, Mark.
Yes, very simple. Okay. Again, re-emphasize, my word is my bond. That's lawful. That's what creates rights, duties, and obligations when we enter an agreement. So where's lawful governance in the UK stem from? Quite simply, it's the successors of the creators of the Bill of Rights, is today's living people that create the lawful governance. And currently, on the 2nd of June 1953, what actually happened was the Archbishop of Canterbury at the time, he offered Elizabeth Alexandra Mary a contract. This is an offer to contract, going back to rights, duties, and obligations and creations thereof, where the Archbishop asked, will you solemnly promise and swear to govern the peoples of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and then lists the other territories at the time. And the important part is at the end, according to their respective laws and customs. And that contract was accepted with the words, I solemnly promise to do so. So that's the lawful governance is created. And at the time, so the monarch has taken it upon himself to accept the contract from the Archbishop, who's taken it upon himself, claiming to be God's representative on earth and having authority to offer this contract, whereas in fact he doesn't. In truth, what it actually is the monarch is the trustee of the communal resources of the territories that are under the control of the monarchy. And in exchange, she's granted, or the monarch, she at the moment, it's called regal power in the Bill of Rights, and you're more familiar with it as royal prerogative, which is something which you'll be familiar with the Boris Johnson case in 2019 about prorogation of Parliament. So that's the consideration the monarchy gets, and therefore that makes it a legally enforceable contract because it was signed and sealed in writing. What happens then is that the monarch delegates to Parliament assembled legislative supremacy. So legislative supremacy is the creation of acts of Parliament. In theory, we elect our members of Parliament. They go with our wish to Parliament and legislate based upon our wish. However, with the first past the post system, it's not a lawful representative democracy. And secondly, with party politics, they vote according to party lines as opposed to voting what the people want. And the reason this is unlawful, because in essence, they come out and canvass our votes based upon an agenda, and they do not fulfill that agenda necessarily when they get into Parliament, where they give an oath before they can actually start acting as members of Parliament, an oath or an affirmation, and they actually change allegiance from the people who they claim to have represented to the monarchy. Then what happens is the ministers create Her Majesty's government. So you have the Parliament assembled, which creates, in theory, the will of the people. However, that's not true. And then Her Majesty's government must enforce the will of Parliament. So in theory, it's a great system where the people tell the representatives what to do, the representatives vote according to the people, and then the government implements the people's will. So and the ministers in Her Majesty's government, they swear an oath of office, all going back to serving the monarch, i.e. to fulfill the promise. And therefore, lawful governance is anybody in an office of the monarchy to govern you and me according to your and my respective laws and customs, nothing else. Therefore, acts of parliament are merely administrative law to deliver that promise. So that's how simple the governance actually is.
Yeah, and the problem with governance, or even the general public understanding governance, they don't understand governance any more than what they understand the law. And this is what these charlatans have actually hidden behind. Yeah. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that you said there is that the Queen or the monarch will govern under the respective laws and customs of the people. The people themselves have allowed themselves to be governed under the current system because they do not understand the law or governance. So they basically abused their power based on the fact that there isn't anyone in the general public that is actually standing up to them. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, sort of, we always like to leave each of these meetings on a positive note. So I'd just like to say, I'd like to wish the monarchy and the government all the very best, and the politicians for the future. We know what our future is. I don't quite think they're well aware of what's going to be happening to them in the future, Mark, do they? But they won't be getting away with what they've got away with so far.
And I think, like you've quite rightly pointed out, I mean, the system is very, very simple. And it's an abuse of the trust. It's a beautifully simple system. It's wonderful. It really is.
Anything further you want to add to this this recording, Mark?
Just that as peacekeepers, what we essentially looking to do is to hold people to account. This is what they should be delivering. This is their lawful obligation to deliver our respective laws and customs. Therefore, and we decide what happens, and they don't dictate what happens.
Indeed. Well, we're about to tell them what we want, aren't we? Well, we're about to tell them what they're going to do. The rule of law. The rule of law will prevail.
Absolutely.
You mentioned obviously the Bill of Rights there. We're going to have to do quite a detailed session on the Bill of Rights, aren't we? So that's coming up in future recordings. Very good. Okay, Mark. Catch you later.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.